So it's been a little while since we did one of our provider interviews, but I'm with Mewmaw of Annapolis Counseling Center. And I just wanted to kind of do an interview today talking about Annapolis Counseling Center and what Tim does as well, and kind of just introduce you to your practice and all of these awesome toys.
Yeah.
Behind.
Yeah,
Hi
this
now.
is for sand therapy. Yeah, hi guys.
I
These are
walked
my
in this
friends.
office and like even before I even finished saying hello, I was like, oh my gosh, toys. So yeah, so this is a fun office.
Yeah.
Super easy to find too. It's right off Melvin Avenue. I always get nervous when people are like West Annapolis, and I'm like, oh, parking.
Right.
But
No, we have great
it was
parking
fun.
out here.
Yeah.
And
Totally
it's very accessible for
Yeah.
Annapolis. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. So tell us a little bit about Annapolis Counseling Center, and then obviously about your background as well.
Sure. So the Annapolis Counseling Center, I mean, we've got 7 clinicians here, I think now. Lance has been here for quite a number of years. I'm an LGPC, meaning I'm still under supervision. This is a second career for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was your background previously?
I've been international business, government, mostly government community affairs, some foreign work for a foreign minister for a while, so
Yeah.
cross-cultural stuff, a lot of cultural sensitivity, and working with people in some pretty extreme situations. I worked with, I kind of helped out with the Yazidis for a while after the Islamic State onslaught on them, the attempted genocide on them in 2014 and 15. So anyway, that was a lot of the catalysts.
Yeah.
I guess mental health has been a 20-year passion for me. So this is kind of the culmination. Those experiences kind of led to this is a career change for me.
Right.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a background.
Yeah. So I did a program at Hopkins, and now I'm building a practice here. And the figures here, this is a specialization that I am training in, have trained in, and am continuing to train in. It's sand therapy, and these are, despite the fact that a lot of them are toys or miniatures, some of these are legit symbols as well. Not toys at all, and they're really geared towards anyone from 3 to 103 is what my mentor says.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, they help. Really, they help give voice. They help clients give voice to parts of themselves that otherwise they're not able to give voice to.
Right.
And again, that can be for young children who have a limitation in language, or us adults.
Yeah.
I personally put together probably 35, 40 trays at least at this point, and it's been by far the most profound interaction I've had with mental health or counseling, psychology.
That's so cool. I mean, I was immediately drawn to them.
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
So, I mean, can you tell me a little bit about how, like a little more, I guess, how we interact with some of those things? That's just so intriguing.
Yeah, sure. Well, so the way sand therapy. If you want, you're welcome to give a close-up of the shelves and stuff, but you basically, I mean, there are lots and lots of clinicians out there who are doing sand, but I'm working, my mentor is Dr. D. Preston Dillon, and she's well recognized in the area. She does trainings through College Park Youth and Family Services, so she does a level 1 and level 2 sand therapy training there. We were at a conference in New York back in November, have another one in LA coming up in April, and we're in process of building an online training institute for her work to get it out more, make it more accessible. But really the way the process works, and so the reason I mentioned that was just to say that a lot of clinicians use sand, but not a lot of clinicians are I guess have specialized training in it and understand, I guess, kind of the underlying factors of what's going on. And I guess to give just a kind of sense of that is it taps into the unconscious. We put a picture together in the sand. You just have a tray, it's got sand in it, and the edge, the boundaries, and you just kind of choose figures, whatever seems you're drawn to, and you make a picture. And I guess the point is that inevitably, by being drawn to something, it's tapping into some memory or some projection of the future, it's getting into aspects of ourself. It's not, so it ceases to be just an object, but it becomes then a symbol for something in our lives or something that's relevant to us.
I mean, I'm like immediately drawn to some of the crystals, some of the wood, some of the pottery pieces.
Well, I
like very earthy stuff.
Yeah, so you're more than welcome to do a tray if you would like before you leave. Absolutely. Okay. No, it's a wonderful experience. I guess I like to say the first time I put a tray together, I probably don't look like the kind of guy who would have a office full of toys, right?
I love it.
But the first time I put a tray together, I spent the next 3 hours with that internal critic just going crazy.
Yeah.
What the heck did I just do? This I'm a grown man. Like, this is ridiculous.
But there's reasons. There's reasons behind it.
3 hours later, it clicked for me that I had just represented the most significant aspects of my entire internal world were all there.
Yeah.
And from there, it was like weeks of insight and just crazy.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I've done about 35 or 40 trays since, and now it's really my passion.
Oh, that's so amazing.
So anyway,
we're definitely going to do a close-up of this stuff after, because that's so fascinating. So in a way, it does give voice to your internal thoughts that maybe you can't quite decipher yourself.
It gives voice. We don't even have to be aware of what's there, but absolutely there is. And this is something that certainly, the parenting group that I'm launching, I think the brochures I sent out said January 21st, but I'm going to be delaying that for a week to the 28th.
Right.
But
we do have that parenting. We do have the brochure in our files section. I will post. Do you have an updated one, or will you have an updated one?
I'll send out an updated one.
Okay, so we'll post an updated one about that. But tell me a little bit about.
So that'll incorporate. I mean, there will be some sessions where we'll probably do some activities using this stuff. It's basically, I guess, the passion for that group really is birthed out of my own experience as a parent. We were talking a minute before we started this about how parenting inevitably humbles us.
Yep. I have my life together. Just kidding.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, just this morning, an interaction with my own, with my youngest too. There's like, the 5-year-old is like hitting the 6-year-old, and it's just like, oh my God, it's triggering me, right?
You're like, I'm supposed to know exactly how to handle all of this. Why
Exactly. Yeah. So the point of the group is like, my experience is no one teaches us how to parent. So we open our mouths and our parents come out.
Yeah.
And
hi, Mom.
Right. Exactly. And the other thing is we get in these intense situations and we step back and we see our parents' actions come out as well, right?
Yeah.
So we need tools, but not only just tools, but we also need a forum where we can kind of normalize these crazy experiences that we have, because we all, not only do we have intense reactions to these crazy situations our kids put us in, but we oftentimes act in ways that we regret later. And so to have access to a group of other people who can kind of normalize that for us is very helpful. So the group is really geared towards the main concepts we'll be covering is, number one, emotion. What is it and what do we do with it?
Right.
Another one is how to make time, how to give and receive feedback to kids, and the heart of that is really coming out of this book. This is my favorite parenting resource that I found.
I just recommended that to someman else, and there's
it's brilliant.
There's a teen version too, isn't there?
Yes, for the little kids, and I actually like that better than this book for reading.
Okay.
This one's good. The worksheets are great for like doing a group or something, and that will be part of this group.
Yeah, can you just introduce the book one more time?
Yeah, it's How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk.
Great.
And
that's our homework.
Yeah, right. so the group will be that's that part of the group, and then we'll also be dealing with how to create quality time and maintain quality time with kids in this internet age, and sports and everything else going on. And then the last thing we'll be dealing with co-parenting. If we have a resistant spouse, or a resistant co-parent, or an absent co-parent. And then how to maintain differences respectfully or have differences and respectfully while maintaining our own, commitment to our own values and stuff.
Right.
So anyway, that's the group.
How many weeks was it again?
It's 8 weeks. It's a closed group, and that just means that each week builds on the next.
Right.
And so participants really need to be able to commit to coming to the whole thing,
right.
because you can't just kind of jump in week 4 when
right.
you've missed the first 3 weeks.
It's interesting because parenting, I mean, it is a job, but it's the only job that you don't receive training for.
That's
You're
right.
just handed a living being and expected to care for it.
You go to the hospital one day and there's just you and your partner, right? And then the next day you go home or you go to the adoption agency or wherever it is, right? And you come home and there's tremendous the responsibility of another life, and not just for a day or a minute, but they're there day and night. They're waking up in the middle of the night.
Looking back, I mean, like, the infant years, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to survive this. But then, like, once the kids start talking and thinking and interacting, you're like, well, actually, infant was fine.
Right.
I just provide for basic
I just go
needs.
back there?
Right. Now I have to, provide for your emotional well-being. And,
that's right.
We don't have any training.
The problems are constantly evolving, and the complexity is beyond anything we can possibly imagine or prepare for. So, this kind of thing, I think it's essential, and like I mentioned before we started the broadcast here, if I'm more than willing to open up a daytime group, because a lot of parents may have more flexibility in their workday than they do with the kids' schedule. So this
How long
this
is
group,
each session?
Each session they're scheduled 90 minutes, but I ask participants to keep the next 30 minutes open, and I keep that open for myself. Because group process often runs over, and we don't want to have just constraints of a clock. We want to be able to sort of end on a constructive note.
Exactly.
So again, I'm open to doing a daytime group as well. If evenings are difficult for people, just reach out, let me know, and if we can get enough participants, then we'll launch something.
Great. And in terms of enough participants, how many do you think?
It's usually 6 to 10.
Okay.
It's small, it's intimate, and it's intentionally that way. If there are a lot more participants that are wanting, then just break it into multiple groups.
Right. Great. Yeah, we'll definitely put a feeler out for that. I think it's important, that we're talking about, parenting tactics and tools. It's important to realize we're all going to make mistakes. And it's totally okay, and we're not going to screw up our kids when we make, these little mistakes.
Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection is like one of my favorite books. And
I wish she was my best friend.
I know she is. She just doesn't know it.
She just doesn't know it. We're like really close.
She's amazing, yeah. So it's exactly right, and I think that's one of the biggest tools or lessons I think that I've found and have to continue reminding myself and relearning every day is that I make mistakes, and instead of letting the internal critic just run rampant over me, or run roughshod over me, I take a minute, take a breath, realize that they're still alive, I'm still alive, we still have time, and repair. And that's really where I think the most important aspect is not the damage that's done, but it's really about the repair. If we're able to repair, then we can manage a lot.
And kids are pretty receptive to that. Like, I know when I mess up, I'll be like, hey, I'm really sorry, I did this or did that or handled it this way, I should have done this instead. And they're like, okay, no problem, love you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, oh wait, we're not? Like,
they're extremely resilient.
Like, that's
right?
it? That's all? Because if this was another adult, we'd have,
that's right. There might be some, that's right.
Yeah, and the kids are like, it's fine, whatever. Cool.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, you break a bone, it heals, I mean, certainly
certainly
if you try to set it yourself or don't bother setting it, then you might end up with a deformity or something there. But, if it's done the right way, then we're quite resilient. And that's emotional or physical,
Yeah. So you do work with children and families, but you also work with adults as well.
I do, yeah. I work with a full age range, and really, I think my personal favorite way of engaging with clients is having multiple people in the room at once.
Okay.
I love working with parents and kids together, or with, and that's actually more with like older kids than it is with younger kids. Though it can be both. And then couples and stuff. I love working with couples because what's beautiful about having multiples is that I get to see the dynamics that are there, and it's not. That's just that way. I'm not getting one version of a story, and we're able to. Not only can we kind of normalize what's happening, but we can face it head on, see what's going on head on, and then help facilitate actual practice of communicating in ways that is nonviolent, you know.
Right.
So
I will say we noticed a huge difference when we went from therapy with my daughter that was, you know, just her, and then we would get a brief overview afterwards, and it was okay. But then once we got the whole family in, and it was sometimes like, hey mom, what you're doing there, you know, maybe you should try this instead. And I'd be like, I'm not the one in therapy. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
But it was so beneficial. And once we started really working as a unit, and it was never, you know, you're doing this wrong or you're to blame.
Right.
It was all, let's work together as a unit. Here's what I'm seeing from this person. Here's what I'm seeing from this person. What if we try approaching it this way?
That's right.
And what we noticed was that without even trying, we would go home and then start to mimic that. And then all of a sudden our entire world just shifted.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're dealing with an individual client, you know, what we said a minute ago about the parents, we open our mouths, our parents come out.
Yeah.
If I'm working with an individual client, then that's true. It's their parents, you know, coming out. It's our background and stuff that makes us who we are. And so it's no different when we're engaging with our kids versus in, you know, having to deal with our own junk from our own past. It comes out, and so it's all normal. It's all just like, it's not your fault. It's not your parents' fault. This has probably been going on for 6 or 50 generations, you know? So really the key is just recognizing what's going on, and hey, there might be some other alternatives of dealing with this. There most likely isn't a right way to do it. It's just that, well, we could do it this way and have this result, or we might be able to try some other options and have a different result.
Yeah, and I think like understanding everyone's different methods of communication, or like this thing we struggle with a lot is tone at our house. Like apparently I come across as really sarcastic.
Yeah.
Never would have guessed that, but apparently that's my issue. My daughter has like a tendency to come across as like really condescending.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll look at her and be like, well, that was rude. And she's like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But when we would sit down, you know, and talk about things in therapy together, you know, sometimes the therapist would point out and be like, well, actually, I can see how, you know, they would perceive that as sarcastic, or they would perceive that as condescending. And then you start to think about it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't the way I intended it.
Right.
But I understand now that that's how you're perceiving it, and maybe I should start making changes.
Exactly. Yeah, learning how to look at ourselves in the mirror, learning how to get
hard.
that kind of, right, exactly. Learning how to get that feedback. I mean, even like the same thing. I'm aware of, I get feedback occasionally that I come off as arrogant, and I'm aware, you know, there are aspects of that where it's, part of it's a defense mechanism, part of it's just that, you know, for me personally growing up, I needed things to be explained in a certain way. And so I naturally want to explain things to others in that way, and it often makes people feel like I think they're small or dumb or something.
Right, no, like that is not my intention.
Yeah, right.
It's not what I intended.
But seeing ourselves on video, or seeing ourselves, you know, like looking at ourselves in the mirror, just being open to feedback gives us, again, it gives us that self-awareness and allows us to kind of, oh, I don't want to engage that way, right?
Right, yeah. I love it. Awesome. So yeah, we talked about your practice, a little bit of what you offer. I definitely want to do a close-up of some of this stuff and let people see.
Yeah, and I'll just say quickly before we wrap up that for the group itself, part of the process of forming groups like this is
group, right?
The parenting group. Part of the process of forming groups like this is to do a cost and commitment-free personal interview with each prospective participant here in the office. It's 15 to 20 minutes, but it's an opportunity to answer questions, to get to know each other a little bit, and just to make sure that it's a good feel or a good fit, for the group. And so that's there. And if anyone wants to, you know, is interested in that, or interested in individual counseling or whatever, they can find me on Psychology Today, or through the Annapolis Counseling Center website.
Great, awesome. So again, if you're interested or want to know more about the parenting group, give a call, come in, commitment free, cost free, come see what it's about.
Yep.
That's really awesome. I love
Brilliant.
that.
All
cool.
Right,
well, I'm gonna grab this guy and show. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little close up of all of these figures. I mean, you've got, oh my gosh, the polar bear and the penguin. And the giraffes. I took my 92-year-old grandmother to the zoo last year, and she did not realize giraffes were real. I was like, they're very much real.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Yeah, so awesome.
Not that many of them that much longer.
Right? I know, right? And then obviously the sand tray. So cool.
Got
That's so cool.
options for sand and stuff there as well, and some different trays.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and play with that for a second, and I will
sure.
take a picture. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just comment below.